Hey, happy Monday, everyone. Hope you are doing well. It is the week of Christmas, and as you can see, I am home on break for a couple of weeks to enjoy the holidays, Christmas holiday, the New Year's with my family and my friends. And I hope you are doing well as well. Sorry about the repeated word. Hope you are well as well. And we're about to celebrate Christmas, and this might look different for different people. It might mean different things for different people. But I was thinking, for me, it is the birth of Christ, and of course, there's no evidence that he was born on the 25th of December. That's just a day that we adopted as historically, but the fact is that he was born. He was born and came into this earth. And the question that many people might have is, why did Jesus come into this world? If you believe that Jesus came into this world, many people might be asking, why did Jesus come into this world? And during this season of the Christmas celebration, we may ask this question, over and over, or we may hear it over and over. And, it might be obvious, or it might seem obvious to even an unnecessary question, because the answer appears logical. We all know why Jesus came into the world, right? We might say, but why did God choose to come to this world in this way is really the question, in this manner. Why did he reveal himself to the world as a man? And today we ask this question using why and not for what purpose. See, in grammar, this is called a preposition. A preposition is a word that relates the elements of a sentence. Prepositions can indicate origin, source, destination, direction, place, means, starting point, reasons, etc., etc. I don't mean to teach a class of grammar right now, but that's what a preposition is. So the preposition for is used when information is being requested. What is this money for example? What do you go to church for? What did Jesus come into the world for? And so we're requesting information when we ask questions with the word for. The preposition why is used when we're asking for an explanation or a reason. Why do you need money? Why do you go to church? Why did Jesus come into this world? So Jesus came into this world for different reasons, and I'm going to talk about them. First of all, he came into this world because he had to identify with our sinful nature. Plain and simple. He needed to identify with our sinful nature. The only way God could relate to our sinful nature was by becoming like us. It says in Philippians 2, verse 6 and 7, and I hear you, 6, 7, right? Philippians 2, 6 and 7, it says, though he was God, he did not think of equality with God as something to cling to. Instead, he gave up his divine privileges. He took the humble position of a slave and was born as a human being when he appeared in human form. So the Bible tells us that God does not know sin. 2 Corinthians 5:21 says, for God made Christ, who never sinned, to be the offering of our sin, so that we could be made right with God through Christ. That is why he became human and suffered as we do. He identified with our sinful nature, and he did that in different ways. First, he did it in his genealogy. It says in Romans 9:5, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob are their ancestors. And Christ himself was an Israelite as far as his human nature is concerned. And he is God, the one who rules over everything and is worthy of eternal praise. Amen. As you know, there are 4 perspectives of the life of Jesus, known as the Gospels. Of the four authors, only two, Matthew and Luke, record the birth of Jesus. But one of them begins by speaking about his genealogy, Matthew. Why does Matthew begin with the genealogy of Christ? This is interesting when we look at the happenings or what happens in the first chapter of Matthew. It begins like this. This is the genealogy of Jesus, the Messiah, the son of David, the son of Abraham. And he goes on. And what Matthew's trying to establish for the Jewish people is that Jesus came from the lineage of Abraham and David, which was very important to them. But something fascinating also happens. Matthew forces us to examine some of the people who appear in this lineage. Abraham was the father of Isaac, Isaac the father of Jacob, and Jacob the father of Judah and his brothers. Now, why does he mention Judah's brothers? Wasn't one of them like Joseph the dreamer? To me, it would make more sense and a better option for Jesus to descend from Joseph rather than Judah. But something else interesting is that in a culture dominated by men, Matthew mentions four women. Two of them should not even have been mentioned because of their sinful lives. And three of them were not even Jewish. What Matthew is saying is that Jesus did not come from a pure lineage. And that for this reason, and this is for a reason, the genealogy continues. Judah, the father of Perez and Zerah, whose mother was Tamar. Perez, the father of Hezron, and Hezron, the father of Ram. Ram, the father of Amminadab, and Amminadab, the father of Nahshon, and Nahshon, the father of Salmon. Salmon, the father of Boaz, whose mother was Rahab. Boaz, the father of Obed, whose mother was Ruth. Obed, the father of Jesse, and Jesse, the father of King David. David was the father of Solomon, whose mother had been Uriah's wife, Bathsheba. How many of us are marked by our ancestors? We have felt unworthy because we carry baggage. And we say, I can't serve God because these curses keep me away from him. Well, Christ put an end to those curses on the cross of Calvary. Why? Because Jesus came from sin to put an end to sin. He also identified with our sinful nature in his temptation. It says in Hebrews 4:15, the high priest of ours understands our weaknesses, for he faced all of the same testings we do, yet he did not sin. He faced all the same temptations, is what he's saying. Jesus was tempted by Satan and overcame. Repeatedly, he told his disciples about the need to watch and pray so that they would not enter into temptation. God knows about our weaknesses. He knows about our condition, our weak condition, because Jesus experienced the same thing. And Paul says it to the Corinthians. He says, God is faithful. God is faithful. He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear. Why does he say this? Because Jesus was tempted. He identified with us in his temptation. And he also identified with our sinful nature in his discrimination. Isaiah 53 says, he was despised and rejected, a man of sorrows, acquainted with deepest grief. We turned our backs on him and looked the other way. He was despised and we did not care. Discrimination means treating a person as inferior for reasons such as race, religion, politics, lifestyle, etc. Jesus was rejected. He was challenged. He was denied. He was repudiated, excluded, despised, and accused. The enemy of our souls is called the accuser, and he constantly does this to us. He comes to plant doubt in our lives about who we are. But Jesus said, God blesses you when people mock you and persecute you and lie about you and say all sorts of evil things against you because you are my followers. Be happy about it. Be very glad, for a great reward awaits you in heaven. And remember, the ancient prophets were persecuted in the same way. This is Matthew 5, verse 11 and 12. So we have a great reward in heaven. Why? Because Jesus was discriminated against. So he came into this world because of our sinful nature, and he needed to identify with our sinful nature. And these three reasons. In the next video, I'm going to continue talking about why Jesus came into this world. All right, I hope you have an amazing week, amazing Christmas week. We will talk to you soon.